Welcome, everyone, to the Spin Life Well Show, where we apply biblical wisdom to your financial life. I'm certified Kingdom Advisor Mark Trice. In the studio with me, as always, the ever-talented Jesse Hamilton.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a few weeks since we've recorded a podcast, and we need to get back on the bandwagon. I'm really excited to talk about today's topic, though.
Yeah, it's a good one. So the topic of today's show is contentment versus consumerism. And we're trying to find financial joy and finding that our financial situation is enough where it is.
That was a big topic. Jesse and I just returned back from the Kingdom Advisors Conference down in Orlando, which really is a lot of fun because there were over 2,700 different financial advisors that were there, that were all there learning about biblical wisdom and how to provide that to their clients. So
we came back to the office here all fired up, and I hope that you can tell that we're excited about this stuff. But our podcast is our one unapologetic outlet here. So let's get into it.
All right, let's go. So how do we choose contentment over consumerism for that financial piece? How's that work?
Well, let's take a look first at Paul in Philippians chapter 4, where he modeled that contentment no matter what the circumstances are. So I believe at that point he was imprisoned.
Yes.
Is that true? Or is he on house arrest or something?
House arrest or a prison. I don't remember exactly what. What was the verses, though?
His situation was not looking too great. The actual verse says, "Not that I was ever in need, nor I have learned how to, for I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it's full stomach or empty, with plenty or little." And then the famous verse here at the end, "For I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength."
That's right. So that's from Philippians 4, verses 11 through 13. So we think about Paul's perspective there. He was in prison or under house arrest. He relied on basically everyone's generosity to provide for his needs. He also worked.
Yes, he did.
He had an occupation and so
forth. He was a
forth.
tent maker, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And so let's contrast this with consumerism. I don't know. As I drove into work today, I had to drive on the interstate to drop off one of my kids. They were auditing class at a College of Knowledge. College of Knowledge. And billboards everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some suggesting that I buy a Lexus. Another one that was suggesting that I needed to buy new diamonds for my wife.
I thought Buc-ee's bought every single billboard in Texas.
Almost, but they still have a few that they're not using, but all the Buc-ee ones are really kind of play on words, reminding me that I need to stop there to go to the bathroom. So Buc-ee's is aside, there's a lot of different things that we get.
It's extremely saturated.
Oh, yeah.
I think is what you're saying. That we're constantly being fed thousands of ads per day, voices saying, you need more and more, and you need this thing.
You deserve it.
Mm-hmm. So that's over $4 trillion in the U.S. every year spent on ads.
I think you're right, though, Jesse, because I think we've read before or talked about on the podcast somewhere before. We are exposed to over 5,000 advertising messages a day.
Mm-hmm.
We may not realize it, right? But between radio, TV, internet, billboards.
Yeah. These companies are fighting for space in your mind. That's essentially what modern marketing is they want you to have their product in your brain, and they spend trillions of dollars to make sure that happens. And I've made it a pursuit of the last couple of years of my life to not just freely give that away to other companies that want space in my brain. Yeah, I'm not going to avoid all the ads in the world, but kind of doing my part to not just openly look at as many ads as possible. I have a TV that's extremely ad heavy. It's like every 10 seconds, no matter what I'm watching, there's a new ad. I think you might feel the same way.
Just let it go. Let it go. We started a new sermon series this week at church, and one of the quotes was, are we allowing Satan to live in our spare bedroom? Is there a place in our apartment or home for Satan? And sometimes I believe that the devil can use consumerism to occupy that space and headspace, really. in our minds
Mm-hmm.
where it should be Christ. And I feel like a lot of times consumerism can occupy that headspace in our lives. And if we're inundated day after day after day with all these things saying you need, you want, don't save for the future, don't do anything else. You deserve it today. We have a culture that says we consume now.
Yeah. So let's talk about that trap for a second.
Yeah.
The trap of consumerism says, um, the stats here, the average American has $5,000 in credit card debt, and that majority of that comes from overspending. Probably some of those people had emergencies that they couldn't pay for, but a lot of it is overspending. And then the role of social media and how
I hate
our
that.
emotional connection to that. We're talking about the fear of missing out, the
You can't
comparison.
scroll your feed on anything and not find something that you would like.
And unfortunately, this frustrates me so much. And I'm not on social media, but my wife has showed me that the feeds nowadays on Instagram and Facebook are majority ads. It's not the people you follow. It's content that is paid to go into your brain.
Apparently, I'm supposed to buy a lot of Survivor and prepper gear because I see ones for a generator, solar generator, or food storage or something like that. I don't know how I'm popping up on that feed, or they got the algorithm right, so they think I need, a solar generator. But it's weird. It's weird. They're listening to me.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely listening to you. But yeah, there's a practical cost to this trapped, and we're caught in it every day. Overspending is one of the biggest problems that Mark and I see with our clients. They don't know where their money's going. They just know that there's no more of it. And the first step to figuring that out is just where's the money going?
And we're all guilty of this.
Yeah.
I was just looking at my year-end spending reports and things, and I looked at the last bank statement, and I'm like, why did I need that?
Yeah.
I don't find very much fulfillment from that thing that I bought, but it's tempting all the time to be able to if you got a little cash or got a little money, just spend it.
Right.
That's not the right way. You need to resist that overspending.
So this came to my mind. I'm teaching a class at my church right now on biblical finance, and this is Ron Blue's. If you're a video listener, you can find this at the Ron Blue Institute, but it's his little graphic about God owns it all. Mm-hmm. Our uses for our money are live, give, grow, and owe. And so let's talk about, for a second, the budgeting side of things.
Yeah. So, you need to make sure that you have a budget or a spending plan.
Mm-hmm.
Spending plan sounds much nicer, but it's still a budget. You basically decide at the beginning of the month where every dollar that you are planning on bringing in, you tell it where to go. Mm-hmm. And don't lose sight of that. That focus is so important because there's plenty of opportunities, as we've described, for us to spend money that we hadn't planned on.
Yeah. A practical application here that Ron does with his family is practicing gratitude for our income. And a way that he does it is he actually gets a piece of paper out every month and writes down every place that he made money from. And they sit and pray about that income. They thank God for it, and they say, what should we do with it?
That's right. That's right. That's
so
a good way to look at it.
That's a practical thing if you wanted to actually have a prayer exercise with it. But the budgeting is extremely important to not fall into this trap of consumerism. Remember, Mark, at the conference, they were talking about we're not necessarily going to live in a cabin on the side of the woods and eat bear meat and completely withdraw from society. We have to participate in society to a certain point. We have to live in our free country with our government knowing things about us. But what we can do, and what we think is biblical almost, is to be friction against the ways that they want to control your brain. They want to control your money. And if you can just add some friction to that, I think it's very important.
That's a good way to put it. Proverbs 11:28 says, "Whoever trusts in their riches will fail." Very important scripture. Don't put your trust in money. Put your trust in God's provision. Mm-hmm. But like Jesse said, hey, be a little friction. Be hesitant to spend money. I know you have mentioned before that you should always wait 48 hours before you make a big purchase, right?
Yeah, that's a great practice. If you're in the store and you find something you just love, you have to have it. give it a day or two, go back and buy it then. If you still want it, then it's probably something worthwhile, and you've had time to not just make a in-the-moment decision.
I've done that as well for just online things. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it's like I forgot about it a couple of days later. What does that mean? Is that something I needed? No, it's not something I needed. It's just if it was out of sight, out of mind, then I'll hopefully not buy that.
Also, the idea of delayed gratification there, you're removing your body's immediate response of the dopamine, swiping the credit card and leaving with the bag or shopping cart online. If you wait a day or two, you know that gratification is coming if you still want to buy it, and that's delaying the gratification. You swipe the card or enter it online, and then you still get the enjoyment of spending the money.
We had to have a little conversation with our kids because oftentimes they would put things in my Amazon basket that I wasn't aware of, and I go,
click buy.
I'm buying a book, and I get this big bill. It's like, when did I buy Princess Pony, whatever? And so anyway, Jesse, let's wrap up here. So folks, when we're thinking about our provision that God's given us, we need to think of number one, first of all, thank God for that provision. Ask him for the patience and faith to realize that whatever we are provided is enough, and not be constantly looking for something and it's almost like it's like a panacea almost. If I just had that, I'll be fine. Or if I had that, I could feel better about myself. I'm just reminded of the verse in Hebrews, Jesse. Hebrews 13:5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. And we've got that promise from him.
And if we're really following through on the teaching in Romans about being transformed by the renewing of our mind, these companies are fighting for your mind. And so I encourage you to do things, even little things day to day, to be that friction, to make sure that you're not just freely giving your mind away to them, and that you're filling your mind with things that are going to last for eternity.
Yeah. So folks, remember, you can like our channel or subscribe to this channel on YouTube. I hope you found the video useful. Give us a little thumbs up or a like on those things, and we'd love to hear your questions and feedback. We oftentimes will develop topics based on the questions that you send in. Jesse, how can they send us a question?
You can shoot us a text at 254-282-0495. You can send us an email at info@clearvistafinancial.com, and we'd love to hear your comments or questions. If you have an idea, that would make us very happy to make an entire show about it if it's long enough. So please share with us.
All right, great. Well, folks, thanks for listening to the Spend Life Well Show.
Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Clear Vista Financial are not affiliated. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions.